I know, Victoria, you probably want this completely erased from your memory, but remember when Baker Mayfield was the starting quarterback at the Carolina Panthers? Remember when?
Yeah.
That was just 2 seasons ago, by the way.
Yeah.
That was 2022. That was just 2 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness, how much has changed.
A lot has changed.
Oh, my
over
goodness,
the
how
last
much has
couple
changed.
Years. Wow.
How much has changed when it comes to the Carolina
we've gone
Panthers?
through like 10 head coaches. We've gone through all these guys, all the good players leaving.
I don't know if you heard a noise in the background. That was Victoria's eyes rolling. You could literally hear it.
Yeah.
Like it was felt physically
yes.
and heard.
Through the vibes, yes. Oh, yeah.
This is the Adam Gold Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold today. The reason why I mentioned Baker Mayfield, former Carolina Panther quarterback, came here from the Cleveland Browns, was traded for like a 5th-round pick that was actually drafted this year in 2024. Go figure. He was on the podcast, Part of My Take. Part of My Take, Big Cat, PFT commenter, part of Barstool. He was actually on with them earlier this week, and he was asked about his former offensive coordinator with Tampa Bay, because Baker Mayfield was asked about kind of the revitalization of his career in Tampa after being banged up his last year in Cleveland, coming to Carolina. He mentions, like, we weren't playing well. I was dealing with some injuries. They traded Christian McCaffrey, kind of got benched, and then all of a sudden he kind of got a fresh start to kind of close out the year with the Rams, and how the timing and all that just kind of worked out. How he finished the 2022 season with the Rams, which is just still crazy to think about, how he was like 2 days after getting let go was playing for the Rams. Wild story to think about. But again, how he revitalized his career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year and ended up getting paid a really good contract this offseason, kind of be their franchise guy. The offensive coordinator was Dave Canales, who's now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Baker Mayfield was asked by the guys at Part of My Take about, hey, how do you see Canales as a head coach?
Good. Like, he's very relatable, smart guy. He took our receivers coach from Tampa with him to be the OC, Brad Idzik. Really, really good football mind. And I just think, like, those two guys together, like, around Bryce is going to be good for him. But Dave's got, the definition of an optimist bully. Like, it could be the worst day ever. Everything could be going wrong. And he's sitting there. He's like, guys, I got the next play. And, like, he's got a big old smile on his face. And you're like, this guy's full of shit.
Yeah.
But no, that's literally who he is, day in and day out. And, like, it's honestly refreshing, especially in that industry. It's like coaches are always negative, like picking apart everything, but he's complete opposite.
I've never heard of an optimist bully.
Yeah, an optimist bully. I'm like, okay, that's one way to describe it. But I'm like, you know what? I'm for it.
Yeah, we need it here.
I'm okay with it. We need level of optimism.
There's one team that needs it. It's the Carolina Panthers.
They need it
and
drastically in abundance. They got to bully our way into it.
Yeah.
A couple of reasons why I love this is that he was asked, again, like he mentioned, like, he's going to be great for Bryce. And, like, how he's going to build Bryce's confidence, going to build on all the positive things. And later on in that conversation, he was asked about, the latter half of the season, about how they kind of simplified the offense a little bit even further, because they basically said, like, look, we got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, like, we got some players that we could work with. Let's just put them, like, keep it simple and just let these guys play. And they kind of morph into a conversation about Mike Evans, but building off the positives and building off the confidence and boosting the confidence for guys that needed it I think is vital, because you look at Baker Mayfield was a first overall pick in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Went through the ups and downs, like went to the playoffs, won a playoff game.
Did a whole bunch of commercials.
Did tons of commercials. And the Browns kind of decided, you know what, we're going to move on from him. He was playing hurt. He even talked about there were moments when he was with Carolina, and then when he went to LA, he's like, can I even do this anymore?
Yeah.
Like, he literally had that question. Baker Mayfield had the question as a former first overall pick, guy who just, like, oozes confidence and cockiness when he's out there in the field. And I have zero problem with that. Was like, I don't even know if I can do this anymore. Is there even, like, a spot for me to be a starter in the NFL? And he gets with Dave Canales and it rebuilt him.
Says a lot.
It says a ton. Now, hopefully, he could do that with Bryce. Hopefully, because Bryce isn't too broken because he's 1 year in.
Yeah.
He's 1 year in as opposed to Baker Mayfield, who is 6 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, Dave Canales can do that same thing. Now, here's the thing: the difference between Dave Canales, offensive coordinator, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Dave Canales, head coach, Carolina Panthers. The focus is more than just what you're doing with your offense and your quarterback. The focus now is on everyone and the whole team. And if the team stinks, the team suffers, you have to answer for it. When he was in Tampa, Todd Bowles, the head coach, had to answer for it. You now have to answer for it. When things aren't going well for your team this season, at some point, like you might start, let's say 1-3, and you just lost a game 31-13, where the only touchdown you scored in that game was in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter because the other team's just sitting back and playing prevent and just trying to let's just get out of here type situation. And that's the only time you score a touchdown all game. And you got to face the music. I hope that the positives and stuff that you have to build off of, that they're there, but you still are critical at the right times. Like, I just want to know, how is that going to wear on him as a head coach? Because he was a longtime position coach in the NFL with Seattle, with the master of positivity with Pete Carroll out with the Seahawks. And the Seahawks had a lot of success while he was there. Yeah. There really wasn't a lot of losing taking place in Seattle. Like, there was always 9, 10, 11 win team, it felt like, in Seattle. There always were, you never looked at the roster like, are they that good? Like, but they're winning 9 games every year.
That's the thing I think I'm most interested in seeing this season.
Yeah.
Because Dave Canales is going to experience loss. Like, he's going to experience a lot of bad games because you can't go from rock bottom to the top.
Unless you're going to do it.
Yeah, I would love for that.
It.
But if we're being realistic, he's going to deal with loss. So I'm just very intrigued to see how he handles that and how he works with the guys to keep them optimistic.
And how does that message play? Let's say you are 3-6. How does that tone play to guys? It's like, all right, same old positive. Like, we just got our teeth kicked in, The rebuild of this team isn't going to happen overnight. We've talked about it, Victoria, a ton. The rebuild isn't going to happen overnight. I'm hoping that through this season that we see the culture of the team change and that they're building in the right direction and progress to the culture and the team that they want to have. The roster, again, it's not going to get reshaped overnight. There's still holes on the roster going into training camp, which, by the way, rookies report on Friday for the Carolina Panthers. Literally 2 days from today, rookies report. The first practice for the Carolina Panthers is 1 week from today.
Mm-hmm. Here we
Wednesday the 24th, 1 week from today at 9:30 in the morning in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Panthers have their first practice.
On the field.
Tons of optimism. Everyone's 0-0. Everyone's healthy. All the blah, blah, blah. But when you are struggling, how does that message play with your team? Does that culture you want to build, how does that work? The rebuild's not going to happen overnight. But I love the direction what they're going with right now. I love the way they're moving right now. Again, I'm not sitting here going to say they're a playoff team. I'm on the record 5-6 wins, which is progress.
Oh, yeah, I'd be happy with that.
Which is progress.
Yeah.
Which I think Panthers fans, if they look on the field and say, hey, you know what? We won 6 games six games in this year.
Yeah.
We won 6, but you know what? They were in a few more that, you know what, maybe just didn't have quite the personnel, but they competed in all those games. They were making steps in the right direction. Bryce Young took massive leaps. They figured out their identity, what they want to have as a team and an offense moving forward, so they know the right guys to bring in to build the culture that they want to have. And again, also can sit there and say, hey, you know what, this guy doesn't fit our culture, bye. This guy doesn't fit our culture, bye. Let's go get the guys that do fit the culture that we have. They can take us to that next level.
Rather than keeping them around for years and years and hoping things turn around. Matt Rhule. Sorry. I think speaking from a fan perspective, if we're all being realistic, that's all we want. We just want to see progression and not regression.
Yes. Well, can't regress much further.
Well, they could have no wins, and we don't want that. So,
I mean, if you want the Matt Rhule spin zone on this, it's like at the end of the day, every time that we won a game, we were successful, and that every time that we won, we were a 100. We were undefeated on every single game that we won during the time that I coached the Carolina Panthers. Therefore, when we won games, we were the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, get back in the corn, Matt. That's just.
This is the Adam. Go make your corn. Go back to your corn maze.
Get back in the field.
Get lost.
Yeah.
Get lost in your corn mazes out there in Nebraska. This is the Adam Cole Show. Dennis Cox sitting in for Victoria.
So true, though. I feel some type of way. I'm sorry.
You feel all.
I do.
Go back to your corn.